Hey everybody, Questwise here, and today we're gonna do a little bit of throwback. We're gonna do a little bit of an old school OSR retro clone kind of review about a game that was brought to my attention by a fellow viewer and a good friend of mine. Um, this is a game that sort of harkens back to the earlier days of Dungeons and Dragons. But I think it has a unique sort of premise to it. At least unique to me. I've never seen an OSR product sort of from this era. What I'm going to talk about today is this game right here. It's called First Five Fantasy Role Playing. This is by Grim Aramil Publishing. And why I think this is sort of unique is that it harkens back to the D&D Black Box, right? So there were quite a few of us that got a start with the Black Box, which was the easy to master set. Came out in 1991, and I believe was primarily written by Troy Denning. And if you know anything about D&D back in the 90s, Troy Denning had written a lot of novels. It's set in the Forgotten Realms as well as other ones as well, and this product as well, the Black Box. And what was unique about this product was that it was sort of like an introductory box set that had a lot of things kind of a mass market, kind of hard to explain. So it had really easy to learn rules. It had sets of cards. It had maps. It had things that we might find in things like the Essentials box for 5th edition today. That kind of an idea of learning how to role play in an easier form. The author of First Five Fantasy has taken that same concept. It's a spot where he began playing and had very fond memories, and it was his introduction into the Dungeons and Dragons hobby, and thus wanted to use something similar to that to teach his children how to get into role playing as well too, and so created this product here. Now there's a couple of different products that have been created for this, and this is not just for kids. Going through it, it is basically the same rules as you would find in the D&D Black Box set from 1991. Laid out a little bit better, a little bit more streamlined, if you will. It still uses descending armor class, but every character gets their own sort of 2-hit matrix little box on their character sheet, which makes it a little bit easier to understand for younger players or introductory players. This takes you from levels, thus the name, levels 1 through 5, which is what's the sort of unique thing about the D&D Black Box is the first 5 levels. And I believe, if I remember right, it was right about that time that the Rules Cyclopedia came out as well too, and would send you, it collected the BECME set together, the Basic Expert Master, that whole group of things. And so I feel like a lot of people who were introduced to the Black Box sort of went to the Rules Cyclopedia from there, which is kind of what is suggested in this as well too. Although you can get a lot of great fun out of just these first 5 levels as well too. This book includes monsters. It includes all the rules for making characters, all the other rules. Very short, concise ideas, which is the whole premise of the Black Box. Right? When you talk about movement, short paragraph. When you talk about travel or sea voyage or underwater combat, very short, very concise, and left a lot to be for the game master, the dungeon master, to add rulings to and stuff as well too. So there's this product, which is the full rule book. It clocks in at about 61 pages or so. So very short, concise, very, very cool. There's also this, which is the First 5 Fantasy Role-Playing Player's Guide, which is everything that you'd find in the core book without the monsters. So that's something you hand out to the players. And they have this product as well too, and this is something I feel like, having read through it, this is called the Chaos Cults Bubonica This is just a small. It's one of those small format booklets. I feel like this was probably for his adult friends. It's about Bubonica, the god of plagues, his cults, the plane of Bubonica where the god lives. It has new magic spells in here. It has new creatures, very pestilent kind of things. But this is a very cool little source book as well too. He also describes in here that this could be used for things like uh, Swords and Wizardry or Labyrinth Lord or the Dungeon Essentials, those kind of games, right? The early first edition cord kind of games as well. That too. These can all be found on DriveThru RPG. I'll put a link down below to the publisher's page on DriveThru. Um, the player's guide is actually a free PDF. Pay what you want. I would highly suggest throwing a couple bucks towards these guys. Very cool product. It is black and white. It's meant to mimic that sort of style of that era, but at the same time, very very classic feeling art pieces as well too. So black and white, but the player's guide, pay what you want. I believe the rule book itself is $4.99, I believe. You guys can check it out down below. I'll put the link down to the things below, and then you can also get the Chaos Cults Bubonica. And this is really cool. They're all really cool, but if you're looking just for something to add, like if you already have your favorite OSR of choice, and you want something to add a little bit of a cool cult mechanism or a new cult to your setting, I highly recommend getting this. And it's a nice little small format booklet as well too, and then you can just throw this in your bag with the other stuff. And I think this would work amazingly well with Labyrinth Lord and Swords and Wizardry and stuff like that. Some really cool stuff in here. So first 5 fantasy role-playing. If you want to introduce some kids, you want to introduce some new friends to the hobby, or if you just want another cool OSR product, go check them out today. I'm Questwise, and until next time, I am